And then Edge gives the big introduction to the new multi-million-dollar man, Will Ostrich, so we can get a great match in the ring. And out he comes, and this match was Ostrich versus Powerhouse Hobbs, both members of the Don Fallis family with Don on color. And still there was no explanation or reasoning whatsoever why Don is pitting his men against each other, except that iron sharpens iron and we want to have great matches.
I'm the heel manager, so I want to give the fans the best matches I can.
Yes, against my own men to create ill will in my stable, which they will do here in a minute, but not enough ill will, but some queasy will. But I gotta say to you, Brian, this is actually legitimately the first time that I've seen a sunshine or a ray of sunshine beat down on our boy Will Ostrich. This was not only the best match that I've seen Powerhouse Hobbs have start to finish, and a lot of people are going, well, of course, he's in there with the great worker of Will. No, this was the best Will Ostrich match I've ever seen, because this was the first time that we have ever been able to see Will work with a real wrestler instead of another Cirque du Soleil performer where they were trying to outdo themselves with the gymnastics and the flips and the Japanese stylings and the no-sellings and whatever the fuck. It was a wrestling match. And Hobbs is a monster. He's not going to do that flipping, diving bullshit. He's a wrestler. So that meant that when and you can tell he's a heel because he looks and works like a heel. So now Ostrich had to be in the position where he was a smaller, more athletic babyface that had to use his quickness against the big, overpowering monster, and it had to move more slowly because Hobbs ain't going to be out there fucking running around like goddamn Gravity or whoever. So they had a good match. And at one point, Ostrich hit one dive, and it worked because he was a babyface trying to fight a bigger heel that he'd got a momentary advantage on. And then Hobbs give old Willie Boy a suplex on the steps outside the ring. But he didn't nearly paralyze him like the rest of these marks they've got in tights. He did it right. He rolled him across the thing, and Ostrich sold. And then, you know, throughout the match, Ostrich proved he could sell. But then when he fired up and did some of these quick moves, it made sense. There's the bigger guy, so Ostrich does the foot to the chest, does a backflip, sticks it, and lands a jump up enziguri. And so quick, that was great. Then they sell. They don't just jump up and run and German suplex each other 15 times. And in some cases, he was no-selling, or Hobbs was no-selling, the chops, but like you should. Like, you can't hurt me, little man. And when Ostrich slapped him in the face, he said, do that again, I'll kill you. And Hobbs was right there for everything. He was in the right place. And then finally, they're almost there. And I'm thinking, wow, no flips, no furniture. They've done this thing. Hobbs even caught Ostrich on a Cody cutter one time. And Ostrich had to duck around and go and do it again. But then finally, Hobbs goes to shoot Ostrich off and goes for a spine buster. And Ostrich is going to turn it into a DDT. And I wasn't there, but I can see it. They talked this match and this finish over. I bet you they even walked through at half speed in the ring. They didn't do this move ahead of time, and I'm not saying you should. Why take fucking bumps in rehearsal, right? However, nobody caught one thing. I think this is what happened. This is my mind reading. When Hobbs shot him off and went to give him the spine buster, Brian, imagine in your mind's eye when Jake Roberts goes to give somebody a DDT. What arm does he put over the opponent's head before he drops him?
What arm does he put over the opponent's head? The right arm?
No.
The left arm.
Think about it. Put it in your mind's eye. The left arm. Every time you see somebody give a DDT, what arm is around the guy's head that's taking the DDT? The left arm. It's kind of universal, right? Well, when Hobbs shot him off and picked him up for the spine buster, Ostrich's right arm was over Hobbs's head. And Ostrich was going to spin his legs around and DDT him, and I guarantee you they walked through it, and Hobbs said, or Ostrich was calling this match, obviously, said, when you pick me up for the spine buster, I'll hook your head, spin me around, I'll give you the DDT. But when they got in the middle of it, and again, if anybody that was backstage wants to write in anonymously and validate me or tell me I'm full of shit, I believe what happened here was that as Hobbs was spinning him and about to go down in a DDT, he subconsciously or just by rote tried to go down on the side of Ostrich that you would normally go down on for the DDT. But it was the other side because he had him by the right arm and they fell in a heap. But they fell with Hobbs over the top of Ostrich because he tried to go to the normal side without even thinking about it, just what you do, and it didn't work. That's what I think happened. But you saw them crumple in a heap. Or are you speaking to me now?
Oh, I mean, I thought you were speaking to the audience. I did see them crumple in a heap, and then I saw, of course, what appeared to be Ospreay landing on his head.
Yeah, well, that was next, because here's the thing.
Yeah, I was so focused on that, I forgot about the first one you mentioned.
They had this great match that Jim Cornette is trying to praise, and I'm really liking it. I'm thinking, okay, there's fucking light at the end of these guys' tunnel. It was the headlight of the oncoming train. They crumple in the heap on the DDT. Then immediately Ostrich goes to the top rope and does a flipping, twisting something off the top rope that is supposed to, I think, land on Hobbs as kind of like a senton type of thing or a swanton. And he landed right across the side of his fucking head. And quickly whispered something, I guess, to the effect of, "Are you still alive?" And then went over in the corner. And then when Hobbs gets up on his knees, Ostrich runs across the ring and throws that shitty elbow right over the top of his head, whiffed him completely. And that was the finish. So now all of these guys have finishes that are predicated, because Danielson's about to do the same thing, on the guy being on his knees where he can't even take a fucking bump. And this is every time I've seen Ostrich do this elbow, he goes over the top of the guy's head. It misses, obviously, visually. So this is a guy that does all these impressive athletic things. And he's goddamn, it's like the Buckaroos. They do all that shit, but their finish is a shitty double knee lift with a guy on his knees who can't take a bump. Bobby Eaton used to hate that. If a babyface would shoot him in the corner and then drop kick him, like some of these guys do, he'd like, where am I supposed to bump? You can't take a bump. He wouldn't say it that clearly, but the meaning was there. So anyway, the last three moves were a complete disaster, and this was the best match I've seen either guy have up till that point. Explain that one to me, Lucy.
Can't explain that to you. I really enjoyed the match. I like Ospreay. I liked a lot of his matches so far. And Will Hobbs never gets used right, so why not have him do a job to the guy in his stable and in the process get his face crushed?
Yes.
Good match, though. It went a while. I mean, I worry about, we've been watching a rating story. Ospreay's good, but he hasn't really been presented the right way for a star to be introduced to a new audience on TV. The ratings keep going down. They open with the Edge rah-rah speech. This is going to be an interesting episode.
Let's win one for the sniffer.
Who's the sniffer?
Tony?
Oh, very good. Very good. You know, Tony Clown has become very popular ever since I slipped and accidentally said that on the show. A lot of the listeners have been sending that back at me. Tony Clown.
But now let's not overlook that after this match was over with, Hobbs was mad and went to shove old Willie, and Don Fallis had to get in and separate him, and they didn't seem too happy. So are they? But again, there's no explanation for why this hated heel that they were doing the same thing to Don Fallis a few months ago they've been doing to Dominic. They boo him out of every time he tried to speak. Boo, cover it up. They hate this guy. He's evil personified, but he's managing the newest, most high-priced babyface that is smiling and shaking hands with fans and the people are cheering, but he's wrestling other guys in his stable. And the reason he's doing it is because the manager of the whole group is setting it up on purpose. And this, I don't know that this is a what the fuck is going to happen in a good way, because you're confused by the whole goddamn thing. You don't get. I just want to find out what's going on to get it over with. But it's not like I'm hanging on the next development.